Good afternoon, everyone. Virgo Triad here. It is April 13th, 2018. Happy Friday the 13th. There has been a lot of conversation over the last few years with regards to the right to travel without a driver's license within the United States. Now, there's been some conversation from two different sides that almost always leads to a really heavy argument. And I want to go ahead and try to put that to rest now by reading a very good article here on why the pseudo-legal language of those that are making statements with regards to the right to travel being part of the Constitution and superseding anything that a state deems as a code that needs to be put in place for the safety of their citizens. So I'm going to go ahead and read this, and then I'm going to link it to the description of this video so that you can see it for yourself. Before I do that, I want to give a shout out and a big thank you to Trixie Belton, who happened to find this article, and let you guys know that the purpose for me actually putting this up is because there have been many people that have attempted to try to debate me on this particular subject. And this is by far the best proof that you guys or anyone is actually going to be able to find. It has sources in here that you can look up and read for yourself that are what you guys would actually consider to be common law, meaning that you could go in and look at what the president is of these laws and see that this is a regulation per state that was given out by the supremacy of the Supreme Court in order to provide the states with a reasonable and rational way to make sure that their citizens are protected. As we all know, automobiles can be very dangerous. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read it. This was updated October 8th of 2017. And we'll go ahead and start here. Right to travel versus freedom of movement. The phrase right to travel should be clarified because it is commonly confused. Many cases, documents, etc., using the phrase right to travel are in fact about freedom of movement, which is the constitutional right to travel between states at will. If anyone speaks of a constitutional right to travel, freedom of movement is the only thing that they could be referring to, as we'll show. In pseudo-legal circles, right to travel means the supposed right to travel freely in your private property / automobile / conveyance on the public roads / highways without a driver's license, insurance, or registration, and exempt from regulation or interruption, provided one does not engage in commerce / earn profit or cause harm to people or property. Absolute freedom. Could it be true? How does the law work? 10th Amendment State Codes. Traffic regulation isn't mentioned in the Constitution. The supreme law of the land, therefore, the power generally falls to the states pursuant to the 10th Amendment. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. States are free to enact whatever traffic regulations they want, provided they do not violate federal law, as determined by the federal courts pursuant to their police power. All 50-plus states, through their legislatures, consisting of the people's elected representatives, have been fit to devise and enact their own traffic codes and police them. Was it always this way? There wasn't always legislation displacing the common law. Automobile regulation began in the early 1900s. Here is an excellent paper that thoroughly explores the transitional period when decisions could go either way. I will link this to the description in addition to the article. Bicycles were regulated decades before automobiles were invented, and activists of the day faced many of the same questions and challenges modern right to travel proponents do. An analysis of that period can be found in this publication. Once again, I will link that to the description in addition if you're interested in reading it. Constitutionally, the states have all enacted traffic regulations, but do they violate federal law or the Constitution? Judging constitutionally is ultimately up to the Supreme Court pursuant to Article 3. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. Appeals are more often than not declined by the Supreme Court, so adjudication may stop at the federal United States Courts of Appeals, circuit courts, or district courts, and those are a good place to look for precedent, too. We prefer citations from these federal courts to avoid presumptions of bias that might arise by the state judging its own regulations, and because federal decisions are superior to state decisions pursuant to the Supremacy Clause. Federal court decisions. Let's have a look at some federal cases on the right of states to regulate traffic. Hendrick versus Maryland, 235 U.S. 610, 1915. The movement of motor vehicles over the highways is attended by constant and serious dangers to the public, and is also abnormally destructive to the ways themselves. In the absence of national legislation covering the subject, a state may rightfully prescribe uniform regulations necessary for public safety and order in respect to the operation upon its highways of all motor vehicles, those moving in interstate commerce as well as others. And to this end, it may require the registration of such vehicles and the licensing of their drivers. This is but an exercise of the police power uniformly recognized as belonging to the states and essential to the preservation of the health, safety, and comfort of their citizens. Hess versus Pulaski, 274 U.S. 352, 1927. Motor vehicles are dangerous machines, and even when skillfully and carefully operated, their use is attended by serious dangers to persons and property. In the public interest, the state may make and enforce regulations reasonably calculated to promote care on the part of all residents and non-residents alike who use its highways. Reitz versus Mealy, 314 U.S. 33, 1941. The use of the public highways by motor vehicles, with its consequent dangers, renders the reasonableness and necessity of regulation apparent. The universal practice is to register ownership of automobiles and to license their drivers. Any appropriate means adopted by the states to ensure competence and care on the part of its licensees and to protect others using the highways is consonant with due process. There we have three solid federal Supreme Court decisions that set nationwide precedent that cannot be ignored. The Supreme Court is the final arbiter of law in the United States. Unless right to travel proponents can come up with a later Supreme Court ruling that states otherwise, their claims are busted. And we have one less impressive but telling quote from a lower federal district court, Wells versus Malloy, 402 F, supplement 856, 1975. Although a driver's license is an important property right in this age of the automobile, it does not follow that the right to drive is fundamental in the constitutional sense. A few of the above cases were found in somewhat inflammatory and dated but comprehensive publication. Idiot legal arguments, and that I can link you to it, or you can look at it in the actual article. We picked out the relevant federal cases, but many more high-level state cases can be found there too if you're interested. There actually isn't a whole lot at the federal level because appeals beyond state courts are often denied, as it has long been accepted by the federal government that traffic regulation is a proper exercise of state police power. Federal courts uphold the ability of states to regulate road traffic provided it is done so with equality, reasonableness, and for public safety and doesn't violate any federal laws or rights. But I don't drive or use motor vehicle. Those are legal terms used to enslave me, and I'm smarter than that. I am afraid the state and its courts dictate how things are viewed under its law. You don't get to decide what's considered driving or a motor vehicle. They do. You can't simply switch out a few words to avoid responsibility. If you're in a territory controlled by the US and or a state, then its laws may be applied to you and you have no lawful recourse. See basic laws. I have heard of people being ignored or let go by police even without a license or insurance. Police have discretion. The world is a very dynamic place. There are any number of reasons why you might be passed by or allowed to proceed at any given time. The cop may be a scared rookie, not care, not want to fight, have a date, have to pee, be on a lunch break, be at the end of their shift and going home. Think about it. They're human, not machines. The priorities of police and prosecuting attorneys vary. The law is what it is, though, and when you understand it, you know in the long run you're looking for trouble if you don't obey it. I don't like traffic regulations. What can I do? Your lawful remedy, as with anything else, guys, is to convince the majority of people in your state to put pressure on your elected representatives in the state legislature to change the law. That, or you could move to another state or country where there are less regulations and perhaps more fatalities. Study hard, verify claims, think for yourself, question this, and comment. All right, there we go, guys. I'm going to go ahead and link this to the description. I know that it won't be all that popular amongst people who have been researching on how to get, you know, get by without a driver's license, get by without insurance, get by without registration. But to be perfectly honest with you, there's good reasons, as stated in this article, why all those things are necessary. And for those of us that faithfully do hold driver's licenses, insurance, and registration, it's extremely scary, the concept of getting hit by someone who doesn't have insurance or a driver's license or registration even to prove that the vehicle that has hit you you know, is not, whether it's even theirs or not. It's extremely scary when you think about how badly hurt someone could get, and all of a sudden you're stuck out there with nothing to help you because this party is going without insurance. It's just simply something that is common sense. It shouldn't have to be said, but apparently it does need to be said. So here you have it. I am saying it. I've read the article. We've gone over this in the past, but this is something that I thought needed to go out there because it's a continuing conversation that simply doesn't hold water. I hope everybody can make some use of this and enjoys reading the article. Please comment in the comment section or feel free to email me at virgotriad@protonmail.com if you guys have any questions, concerns, or comments that you don't want someone in the comment section to be seeing. You can always email me instead. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.